Arkansas is like a new team. Like I feel like people have discovered, including us, have discovered Arkansas in the last 2 weeks because, frankly, they hadn't beaten anybody until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with them is that they got Justin Smith back. And when they went on that stretch where they couldn't beat anybody, it started when Justin Smith got hurt. They are 17-2 with him healthy. They are 1-3. They're 1
with that stat.
Is that where did he say that?
He tweeted it out. He did. He tweeted it out.
All right. Well, credit no. You know what? Fuck that. I'm not giving Jeff Borzilla credit for anything. Fuck him.
Wow. Holy crap.
But they're 1-3 without him. And when they lost 4 out of 5, that started when he got hurt. And their 2 worst losses were the stretch right before he came back. The only loss that they have with him is Alabama in the first game that he came back. They got smoked, but he only played 18 minutes. And then they lost at Oklahoma State when I think he had 18 points that game. So getting him back, the reason why he's so relevant for them is he gives them that like front court presence that they don't really have otherwise. Like they can go super small when he's on the floor. They can play him at the 4, which gives them all the kind of matchup versatility. So they're really interesting.
Yeah, and here's the thing with Arkansas that I really like. I mean, again, we know what Muss does with transfers. That's no secret, but I think they've done it's a nice blend, right? Jalen Williams and Moses Moody give them young talent to go with some of those senior the transfers, right? I mean, obviously, I'm a huge Jalen Tate fan. I just love what he does overall. He's not going to get as much credit, but he's just kind of that jack of all trades, and they bring some toughness to the table. So I love what Muss has done, and I think they're a dangerous team come NCAA tournament. I really do. They're playing good basketball. They've got good wins. They've got, again, like a versatile team that can go with a lot of different looks. And again, Moses Moody is just like an X factor guy for me because once he gets going, he is tough to stop.
Yeah, they're good. They're athletic. They're, like you said, they're versatile, and they can make some shots. And if there's one thing that Muss can get his guys to do is to kind of play hard, right? Yep. And he also the thing that I do enjoy about him is that he's not afraid of just like running the same thing over and over again and being like, hey, we're just going to get it to this guy and let him rock, and we'll figure it out from there. You know, that's what he did when he was at Nevada when he had the Martin twins. Yep. That's what he did last season when he had Isaiah Joe and Mason Jones. Is it sometimes your best offense is just give it to your best player and let him go? How worried are you?
Yeah, it's the NBA. You know?
How worried are you about Alabama? Because Alabama at this point now,
I've always been worried. Like that's the thing. You know, I was ahead of the game with them, but that didn't mean that I wasn't always worried about them because of their DNA. Okay, that's the problem I've always had with them. Like Herb Jones, I know what I'm going to get. But the rest of the team, I'm still like, I just don't know. And again, the way they play, you know, kind of allows for some of these nights where if they're not making threes, and again, I've never bought into that they're the second best defensive team in the country. I've just never bought into it. I think they're much improved, but I don't think they're an elite defensive team. I just don't. I feel like the best Alabama, their highs and lows are higher than most and lower than most, right? Their disparity. They're kind of like the like what's the most consistent team that Ohio State, right? Like Ohio State, you know what you're going to get every single night, don't you? Right?
Pretty much.
Like you know. They're going to be in every game. They're probably going to win close games. I don't know if they're going to beat Michigan tonight. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But ultimately, you know what you're going to get out of Ohio State's players. You do not know what you're going to get out of a lot of Alabama's players. And part of it is the style, and part of it is just kind of the way they've been conditioned over the last few years. So I do worry about them. And, again, I think they could be a team that could go to the Final Four and go on a run. And if they're making their threes, and I think they could be a team that goes out in the first round. It wouldn't shock me either one of those at all.
Alabama in the first round?
Yeah.
That's a little aggressive. My big thing with them right now is they just every time that they play on the road, like they're not up for it.
Right.
Here's their last 4 road games. They played at Oklahoma, and they lost that game after getting down. I think they were down 12-2. At Missouri, they were down by like 22 with 6 minutes left in the game and came back and lost by 3 in the game. They probably should have won. They won by 3 at South Carolina when they were like 11-point favorites or something like that. And then they lost at Arkansas in a game where they got down big early again and had to kind of scrape back. And, if it wasn't for Jordan Bruner hitting 4 straight threes at the end of the first half, they would have lost that game by 25.
Yep.
So, yeah, did you see the comment Big Illinois News to message you about?
Yeah, it did. Rob's all over that.
Well, we're aware.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it.
Anyway,
what else? Indiana Hoosiers, horrible loss in the way it went down. Terrible. They're up 15. They blew it after blowing the one against Michigan State. So it's not just that they lost at Rutgers, because honestly, if they had lost at Rutgers and been down the whole game, I don't think Indiana fans would be up in arms like they are today. But to be up like they were in both of these games and piss them away, that's the part that has IU fans really, really frustrated. And now you're talking about an Indiana team that is completely, really now at this point, like, I don't know if they're a tournament team or not. They could easily be out. They could be first 4. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. I don't think that they are at this point in the tournament. I think right now Indiana's probably on the wrong side of the bubble. And if you I'm bringing up their schedule right now, just so I have it in front of me. But if you look at what they have left, they get Michigan at home on Saturday. They're at Michigan State on Tuesday, and then they're at Purdue next Saturday. Right now, they are 12-11 overall. They're 3-8 against quad 1 opponents, and they have a quad 3 loss to Northwestern. Now, if they could win 2 of these last 3, like that might be a game-changing thing, especially if one of those wins is Michigan. But overall, this is not a great spot for Archie Miller to be in right now. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with this, but I don't think that they're going to end up getting into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to say at this point. I mean, again, the thing with Indiana is they're so unreliable. Like you have no idea what team's going to show up. So it wouldn't surprise me if they win one of these that they shouldn't. So again, I feel like this is kind of
the issue is like. So they're actually 2-9 against quadrant 1 opponents. Somebody dropped overnight.
Okay.
And it's not I just the reason why I can sit here and I can say I think Duke's going to get in the tournament, even though their resume is kind of comparable to Indiana, and Michigan State's going to get in the tournament and their resume is kind of comparable to Indiana, is that I think those teams are going to find a way to get it done, right? Like Michigan State, to me, actually has a chance to beat Ohio State tonight because of the way that they match up, the way that they've been playing of late. Duke obviously is playing much, much better. They're probably the second best team in the SEC, in the ACC right now. Whereas Indiana, like, yeah, they got Trace Jackson Davis, but I mean, what the hell else on that roster? Like, what are you nervous about? Like, what scares you about other than TJD? And it does feel a little bit like the air went out of that program last night. Like that was a pretty deflating.
We got to talk about Armand's comments because you know what, I forgot about this, but it's an interesting scenario to talk about. What the hell Roy Williams was thinking playing against Marquette last night? Like I know that you need a game.
Someone dropped that in the comments.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, great call because this is one of those that, and Gary Parrish was the first that I saw that kind of tweeted about it from a media perspective, and he's right. Like, why are you scheduling Marquette? Like on an ordinary year, that's fine. You can schedule Marquette, but Marquette is not even probably an NIT team going into that game yesterday. So what is to be gained from that? I get you want to play a game and you want your guys to stay in shape and all that. Well, either play a tomato can like play a team in the 250s that you're just going to win, because it's not like you're Carolina playing for seed right now. You're not automatically in. And now that loss puts you, I don't know where they are in the net. You got the net up?
Yeah, I do.
Where are they in the net right now?
I'll look at it right now. Keep talking. I'll bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is a Carolina team that, again, is not like a lock to get in right now. I mean, they're probably on the right side of it, but, you lose that one and you lose a couple more here down the stretch.
Here's their profile. Are you ready? It's actually pretty disgusting. Okay. They're 44th in the net overall. Yep. They are 1-6 against quad 1 opponents. They have a quad 3 loss at home to Marquette, which they got last night. Yep. Here are their best wins. Louisville at home, 48th in the net. At Duke, 49th in the net. That's going to end up looking much better as the season goes on. And then it's neutral court wins over Stanford and Kentucky.
Right.
They haven't beaten anybody that's ranked higher than 48th in the net this year.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they shouldn't be a lock. So
I don't think they are. I think that they're very much on the bubble.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think there's a lot of teams. The problem is, even when you look at some of the teams that are projected like in the 8-9 spot, you're like, how? Right? Like, how? I mean, I'm looking here on Bracket Matrix.
I mean, we've discussed this quite a bit before. Like, all it's going to take – here's what North Carolina has the rest of the year. Florida State, at Syracuse, Duke. If they win 2 of those games, then especially if one of those games is Florida State, then it's not that they're in, but it's like, okay, like now this is a team where it's like as long as you don't have a bad loss in the conference tournament.
They could be like a 7 seed.
Yes, because with the number of games that have been played, and like they're at 23 games right now. Normally when you have 23 games played, we're like at the start of February. When you're at the start of February, that's kind of when you're just sitting there like, all right, let's start parsing through this. We can actually have serious conversations about the bubble because we're finally starting to get something close to full profiles. We don't have full profiles. It's just what it is right now. And it's just something we're going to have to deal with and we're going to have to accept. There's going to be a lot of teams with uglier than we expect profiles getting in the tournament.